Bueno, bienvenidos a otro programa de Comida Tragosico. This program starts on serious times, times of not knowing what it was coming in the future for a lot of entrepreneurs and people in business and also in life. For me, it started to be a program where like I could share information, values, and knowledge about business with my external world. And then so I decided to invite special people, friends, and family to be able to talk about what it was coming, what is happening in the world of business, what is happening in the entrepreneurship world, and then be able to just jump ahead and give information to everybody that was listening to us. So today, I've been begging this person. Okay. I've been begging Jennifer to be here with us with the podcast, and then I believe that she's a very good coach. She gives a lot of value to the community, not to only the Latino community, but to everybody. She is Jennifer Underwood, a really good coach, very well known in an interesting person here in the area of Washington, D.C. now, around the world. But I'm super happy to have you here. I'm super happy that you had a couple of minutes. I know that you're a super busy woman. And then welcome.
Jorge, thank you. You are funny. That's why when Jorge asks you to show up, asks you for an opportunity, I raise my hand and I say yes.
So how are you?
I'm doing fantastic.
How's life?
Life is wonderful.
Okay.
Yes.
So if you can help me out, I know that you're a coach. Mm-hmm. I know that you are a mentor. I know that you're a teacher, a chef. Mm-hmm. Very interesting woman. I got all your background over there. And then if you can help us out and explain us how you see yourself.
How I see myself. Wow, that's a beautiful question. I see myself as a woman who evolves and is continually growing. So growing up as a child, my dad always told me, do whatever makes you happy. And that helped me as a young woman. And then it got a point in my life where I didn't know what made me happy. And so now I've been able to discover that there is a way to ask myself, what would I love and what is next? So I see myself as a woman that's continually growing and seeing this possibility in others around me as well.
Okay, I love that one. And then now the second question will be, what do you do for a living?
I do so many things, And that's part of the identity, right? So for me, it's become a point where I can be a multi-passionate woman, a multi-passionate entrepreneur. I have found a place where having different passions and figuring out how to express those and share those has opened so many doors. And so the thing that I believe that I do in all that you said, teacher, coach, chef, mentor, is that I believe in people and I believe that we're capable of far more than we believe. So what I do every day is I see the possibility in others and in myself and help people really build their dreams and create a life that they love to live.
Okay. So we're going to get a little bit more deep on like getting knowledge and information from Jennifer. She's from Honduras, came a couple of years ago to the United States. A couple of years ago, we say couple of years ago because we've been here for a long time. We got introduced to Carolina. Yes. And then I figured out what you were doing. And then talk to me about what makes you a person to mentor and guidance a lot of people the way that you do it. Like, because it's very interesting how you put yourself outside with redefining inheritance. Mm-hmm. So that's her website. I will share that with you guys in the information, in the links at the end of the day. But talk to me about that.
Yes, and I'm glad that you mentioned Carolina, because Carolina Gomez has become somebody that I really admire the work that she does. And it was in a conversation with her that I discovered that there's a spiritual side to business. There's a spiritual side to entrepreneurship. Yes, there's strategy and there's marketing and all the things that you need to do, but being able to anchor that in the spiritual being is very important. That's very foundational for what I do and how I coach people through that. Redefining Inheritance, that brand, and that came out of a process that I walked myself through. And what I mean by inheritance is not only, what we're going to inherit money-wise from our parents, or it's more inheritance of our beliefs, generational experiences, in that no matter how long you have experienced something in your life, like let's say lack of money or lack of education, you can always redefine that. You can create yourself at any moment because no circumstance is too big for you. So redefining inheritance is a way to play with those words to really see what in me, Jennifer, or you and Jorge, what is showing up for you and how can we shift that so that then you can grow and be and give and create what you want in life and in business.
So I'm very spiritual. I follow one of your classes. You were a guest of one of our meetings. You have a specific word. The last time you were saying like how you see yourself, or like what is going to be of you if you do these changes. Or I went to a really difficult path a couple of years ago in business. And then I focus a lot on the money, because you as a business entrepreneur, when you have bad experiences, the first thing is money. Oh my God, I own this amount of money. Oh my God, I do this amount of money. Oh my God, I have to pay this amount of money. And then basically you fill up your body with stress. And then how you change those things? If you can guide us on something like how you can stop, like, well, for the other entrepreneurs, because I changed my ways of thinking now.
Yes.
But then how you can give us something that the people can listen and understand that it's not just only the money when you have bad times, because I don't believe that is something wrong that you got bad experiences, but.
Right. So in the topic of money, I find that it's a relationship with money. And so it is about money. It's just how can you shift that feeling of like, oh my gosh, I don't have enough money, or this is going to cost money. So 2 very simple steps that you can start right now is, 1, do exactly what you just did. Just notice what you're noticing. Notice your thoughts, notice your words, notice how that feels. And then in the moment, shift it into what is your vision? What would you love? Right? So what does money mean to you? Because we do want and need money to be able to bring our work into the world, right? So it is about money, and it's also about the thoughts that you're having. So one example would be when you open your eyes in the morning, notice what is the first thought that comes into your mind. Is it worry? Is it doubt? Is it, I don't have enough? And if that's what's showing up, then just notice it and find the words that work for you, right? So I believe a lot in vibrations and words and what they resonate, because a lot of money, the universe doesn't know what a lot of money means to Jennifer, or what a lot of money means to Jorge or to any of our listeners. But the universe knows if I say, I would love to generate $10,000 this month in my coaching, I would love to generate 3 new clients. 3 and 10,000 is very specific. But that you need to find that for yourself. So I help people bring that out, that clarity and that specificity. That way the universe, and I do believe that there's a creator, I believe that there's a power higher than ourselves, and we co-create with that together. But it starts with us and our clarity and our vision, where we're headed.
What is your favorite word in business?
My favorite word in business? Ooh, I love the word generate. Because you can generate wealth, you can generate an experience. Generate has this, it's almost like a generator, right? When the electricity goes out, well, in our countries, at least in Honduras, I grew up a lot with the electricity going out of power.
I know.
My dad always had a generator. So we were never out of power. The power is there. So you can generate that. The other thing why I love the word generate is because there is, for example, electricity. Electricity has always existed in this world. We just didn't know how to harness that. So if you can learn how to harness and generate from within, then you can do anything.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to get a little bit more deep on your classes and on your mentorships and your programs. Um, can you guide us a little bit of how you work the first programs and how you can, or basically what we don't start like this, how you end up doing the coaching? Because you'll be doing so many different things in your
Yes.
part of your life. But first of all, how you end up being a coach?
Right. So first I was a student. I came into coaching because I was in a time in my life where I was experiencing difficulty, right? Just about 7 years ago, 8 years ago, I remember I was a teacher at the time, and I was a first grade teacher, and I had what we call dark night of the soul, where like, you know, in your body that you're not in the right place or something is just not aligned. But I didn't understand why. So I was introduced to a really phenomenal life coach. And I went through that process first as a student and as a client. Once I saw the changes in myself, I was like, I can do that. I want to do that. I want to be that for other people. So now fast forward those 7, 8 years, I've become certified in different modalities. One of them is building dreams. So I'm a dream builder, and I'm a life mastery consultant. So there's a whole set of curriculum, and there's a system. So it's a repeatable, reliable system that I coach people through so that they can then use this to really discover what it is that they would love and what steps they can take. I also use energy healing. So something that's called theta healing. And Jorge, you and I have spoken about theta healing. So I do believe that there's a way to do prayer with our creator. And I do believe that there is a way of doing this where it doesn't have to feel hard, long, or painful. Many of us believe that our traumas or our blocks, we have to like really kind of like sometimes we want to push them away. We don't want to look at them, but there's a way of doing this in a very easy, energetic way and with intentionality. And so I help people identify that through my coaching, and then physically they feel different. And once you feel different, then you can be and do differently. And so one simple way, the way that I invite people into my coaching actually is by coming and doing vision workshops. So similar to the event that we did with your group last year, that's what I love. I show up. If there's an organization, a company, a person that has a group, I come up and I show up for free because I want to spread this word to as many people as possible. You want to experience the words, you want to experience the moment. So all of my workshops are a way for people to really dig inside and see what it is that they would love. From there, then I invite them into one-on-one strategy sessions because I really want to know you, Jorge, right? This is not like, here's the recipe and it's going to work for everyone the same way. So then you and I get on a conversation, and from there I invite you to different programs that I have to see if this really is a good fit and this is, you know, my energy really connects with yours and so forth. So it's all an invitation.
So you become a coach, you got certified, you are coaching now. How you see the changes that are happening in the world right now with the energy in the business? Because I believe that we're moving very quick. What is your experience on that right now?
Yeah. Well, if you study all the successful entrepreneurs, doesn't matter what industry or what field, you study, you know, Elon Musk, you study Tony Robbins, you study and not only the current ones, if you go back 50, 60, 80 years ago to Henry Ford, they all have one thing in common. They would come together and they would mastermind. What happens is that if you come together with 3, 4, 5 other people that are at that level of discovery, that level of knowing that you can create anything, then you can really create anything. And so I believe that no matter how hard somebody has financially, you know, gone out of business, right, or are struggling to expand or to grow, I really do believe that the power is within us, and it's also in community. You can't do this by yourself, right? And so it's identifying, where am I putting the blame? Am I putting the blame outside of myself? Am I putting the blame on the economy, on the politics, on the, you know, weather? Where am I putting the blame? We have to look internally in order to really figure out, okay, what's my part in that? And what decision I'm going to make? Because I can talk and philosophize and just be, thinking. But if I don't take an action, then I can't create something. You have to take an action with faith and expect that the best is going to happen for you.
I like the way of you telling me different things. Or your answers, because the day that I did the class with you, I learned something really super important. When you're in business, the only thing that you focus is on a metric.
Mm-hmm.
I've been my focus on business is training and how to develop organizations to be able to, so they succeed, but all together, and look at the frameworks and strategies and logistics so they can achieve their goals. And then one of the things that I remember, like I'm feeling it right now, that we hold hands and you were like, Jorge, you're going to be there next year. You're going to start traveling. You're like, oh, what Jorge wants in the next year, what Jorge wants in the next 5 years. And then it was super interesting because since I get that course with you and then we sat and then we just kind of like mentalized what we want. I did 7 travelings. And then it's not only the possibilities of me seeing it different, but I always think about your class because I have that little paper that I wrote and I put it over there on my, like, to see things.
Yes.
And then like the squares and all the stuff that you gave us, and I have it over there on the wall. And then it's like, look at it, and I was like, okay, I have to travel, I have to do this, now I'm going to Guatemala in 2 weeks, then I have to go to Spain, then I have to go to Greece. And then I involve business and pleasure. But
yes,
it was super funny because you were like, okay, so you have to do this. And I was like, okay. And then you have to think like this. And then you have to use these methods. And then I was like, okay, you say, yeah, we'll do it. Or it will come if I think about it. But I believe also that I put a lot of effort to make it in that way. Like to be able to say, okay, this is the amount of money that I'm going to make this month. This is the amount that I want to make the next year. But this is what I'm going to use. And then I was like looking for like, okay, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do it. And you're so right, because you cannot do it by yourself. Mm-hmm. So I started communicating with people. This is what I want. This is what I need. This is how I'm going to make it happen. And then boom. But I still think about that day that was like, okay, this is what I have to do. Jorge is going to make this. I want to see myself this. I wrote it on the paper that you gave us and I put it over there and I look at it, and then now I have another paper that I switch next to that.
Yes.
So I've been it switches every probably 15, 20 days. Mm-hmm. But it's attached to what we thought and what I wanted to do in the next 10 years of business. Mm-hmm. Now also in my life. So it's very interesting because one of the things that I like, that I always look on websites and I always look out information is like, you mentioned and then also on your classes, like how you can create a different life or a new life. Mm-hmm. But the life that you love, mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because it's not pressure. Now I'm like, I don't feel that same situation that I felt the day that we were on that class with you. Yes. It's that, okay, I need to get the money. I need to do this. I need to do that. Because I switch it to, I'm going to teach about restaurants and I'm going to do this with companies because it makes me happy.
Yes.
I charge some people. I don't charge some people. Because I see that it's in the future will be something that it will come back and it will be successful. Yes. For both parties, not only for me. And then it's fun because I didn't do that. Oh. I used to help, but not even like, okay, I do this, I give you this information. There you go. Thank you very much. And then when they come back, it's like, send me a check if I don't do anything. Mm-hmm. And then that's kind of like blocking growth for me and for the other party. Mm-hmm. And then so now they call me and I was like, yeah, of course, we'll do it.
Yes.
Okay. And then, Jorge, are you going to charge me? And I was like, yeah, but when you have a lease, mm-hmm. What do you want me to charge you for if you don't have a lease? Or either you didn't follow up with that contract, what do you want me to charge you for if we're not going to make money, mm-hmm. together? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then so it changed a little bit because I'm enjoying the life for the restaurant business. I'm enjoying the life with the family. And then, but I'm traveling. Yes. And then one of the things that I got stuck it was like I didn't travel. I didn't do anything. And then one of my goals, I don't know if you remember, but one of my goals was traveling. I was like,
Yes.
I want to travel as many times as I can, go to different countries, do this, do that. And then started last year. I started like going like to Guatemala. I went to different parts of the States, get here, get there. And I was like, okay, but I see it as, okay, I have to enjoy my life, but this will help me out to see different things.
Yeah.
Or learn from different experiences that I will have on this trip. And then now I started to do business in Guatemala. Because I thought, okay, if I have to go there every 2-3 months, I have to do something.
Yeah.
And then so I can pay for the tickets. I get the house fixed and everything that we have to do there. And then it was just like, when I told my dad's like, dude, you're crazy. And I was like, why? And I was like, no, I'm like just thinking in a different way now. He's like, okay. Like he was he was very strict. The treatment to women and guys is a completely different thing. I was the guinea pig. I was the first kid. And then it was just like, it was every single experience that they could try as parents, it was me. So you can imagine that thing. And then it was just like, okay, I got to the point that at 16, I was like, okay, fine. I'm not that kid any longer. I'm like, hey, leave me alone. I'm like, I understand what you guys want. And then how I have to think and how I have to do the things. But it was just like with a lot of pressure and bad treatment, we say in the
Yes.
in the social media now. But it was fun because my dad always told me, he was like, you have to live the life that you love. In Spanish is like, siempre tienes que vivir una vida que tú quieras, ¿no? Que tú ames. And then I always had that in my mind, but you never put it in practice because the other situations. So then when you put it together to a certain point, it's like, okay, when I came to the US, it was, Jorge, you coming back? No. Because when I went back the second time, I had the same problem, same situation. It's like, why I have to go back? Just rather to stay here and then just keep my life here. So I'm the only one here. Everybody went back. And then so looking at coaching, I did a couple of courses with Tony Robbins. Super interesting how he changed your mentality. But I believe that it's not only one coach. And I believe that you're not just to hook up yourself with only 2 or 3 people. Now I allow myself to be coached by, I don't know, it's just like the 4th of the year. So I take classes and then like one of my daughters asked me, it's like, Jorge, because she called me Jorge. It's like, what, Camila? It's like, Jorge, why are you taking more classes? You already know what is in restaurant business. And I'm like, oh my God. And I was like, no, Camila, I'm learning. Learning for what? It's like different ways of growth and help people and then help you.
Yes.
And then because I'm taking a course of how to be a dad.
Oh, I love that.
With Erwin Kerr. He's a New Zealand guy. And then classes are for free, are in YouTube. So he explained what are the points of view with different parents that are like business owners and all these things, how they can accommodate themselves to be able to just have fun with the kids, but also do business and not include your kids all the time in the business. But anyway, it's super fun. And then can you go over a little bit of why I want to focus a little bit on the Latino section.
Okay.
Why, like, I don't know. I'm going to be honest here in this podcast because it's probably because of that. Why it's so hard to get into a Latino mind and be able to help them without money or with money to get them to a different position in life, to be able to become a better person or a better human being, or try to do changes in that way in the United States?
So I'll answer that question by making some observations of what you just shared. And there's a couple of things that come to mind when you ask that question. The first thing I'm going to highlight is that if you just heard Jorge share his story, he used the word fun at least 7 times. So, and now I know that fun is a value for you.
Yes.
Like fun with the family, fun with business, fun in life, right? And so noticing what comes up in someone else and what are those words, that's what you want to connect with. And so when you ask me the question of why it's so hard, if I believe it's so hard to really change the mind of our Latino community, then it is going to continue to be hard. I don't believe that it's hard. Now, I believe that I may need to use different language. I believe that I may need to share stories in a way that resonates with them so that they can understand that I understand the experiences that they possibly have grown up with. If you look around the world, there are different religions around the world, right? And so many Latinos, we grew up Catholic, which is, I'm not here to share like what religion is right or what religion is wrong, but when we go into religion, and that's something that's been really a big part of our upbringing, right, through our parents, our grandparents, our community, is that we want to be very mindful of that language and how can we still honor that for somebody, but say, you know what, but what if it could be different? But what if that, what you were taught in church, actually could mean something different for you? Because that's a lot of where I talk about redefining inheritance, because it's our inheritance of being raised by a father who believes this and tells you these things or gives you these experiences. We want to understand our community in a way that also helping. There's a book that I'm reading by Wallace Wattles. He wrote this book in 1910, and it's called The Science of Getting Rich. His first sentence of the book starts that if you focus on poverty, you cannot solve poverty. You need to focus on becoming rich and having money, because if you focus on why things are the way they are, then they're never going to change. So being able to tap into the Latino community and say, yes, these have been hard times, and we're going to put that to the side and we're going to imagine what is it that you would love. Some of us, we've never been asked that question, given permission to believe. So I don't believe that it's hard. I just believe that we may have to approach it with a different story, with a different language, with different context, so that they can see themselves. And by you sharing your story more and more, by me sharing my story more and more, they're going to relate. If it's possible for Jorge to just 7-8 months ago say he wanted to travel and now has traveled 7 places, then it doesn't have to take a long time. So we do it by example.
I know.
But yes, I get it that it can feel hard. I just don't believe that it is hard.
Okay. On your experiences of coaching, time-wise, receiving your classes and then getting your courses, how you see the development of people with you, how the changes and how you see how people kind of like change their mentality, because it happened to me quick.
Yes.
But I don't know how's with the rest.
It varies. I believe in being able to do quantum leaps. I believe in this doesn't have to take long. So if I have a dream or a vision that in 3 years is what I want to accomplish, if you can be clear on that vision and I help you, like literally at the beginning, I help you just really get clear with, well, if you heard Jorge, he says, I put this piece of paper on the wall. That's his vision statement. So I help you really get to that. What makes the difference between Jorge getting it quick and, Maria not getting it quick is what actions you take every day. This is not one day. Every day you connect with your vision. Every day you ask yourself, well, what can I do from where I am with what I have? Who can I call? What can I do? But before you make that decision, you have to connect with the vision of what it is that you would love. And and when I say the vision of what you would love is like, what do you love in your life, in your health, in your relationships, in your business? All of that is together. Once I connect there and just allow the answers to come. So the difference between you getting it quick and somebody not is what you do with that information. So I'm here to coach you, guide you, see things in you, believe in you. I cannot force your will to do the things that you can do. Mm-hmm. Right. And so I believe that that's the difference, is because you can't change anything if you don't take action. Right. So for example, you invited me to this podcast, or so you say you've been begging me to come. Right? Yesterday, I run into you unexpectedly in a way, and you're like, let's do this tomorrow. My entire body went into like, oh, like I had to breathe, and I said yes. And then like literally your body reacts to like, oh my gosh, am I ready? And so forth. But right in the instant moment, I was like, I'm here to share a message of hope and care and possibility for people. So me being here is not about me. It's about our listeners. It's about really sharing the message and hoping that one word, one sentence, one story inspires somebody to take action. And many times that action does require an investment.
Yeah.
And the investments are resources, money, of time. And it's never about the money and it's never about the time. It's about really what is it that you would love? Because just like you said with your clients, right? It is going to come around. If you don't charge somebody, it's because you believe in them and that you know that the universe is going to provide even more abundance for you and for them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I do believe again that I'll say one more thing. It does depend on the level of awareness that each of us are in our journey. And so when I say awareness, it means like for some people listening, it might be like, oh my gosh, yes, I've read so many books about this. I follow these people and I've heard about this and they're ready because they have. For others, be like, well, that's the first time I've heard about theta healing or energy or vision. Like, I wonder what that's about. So you have conversations with people depending on where they are in that level, but you can definitely get them quicker to where they would love to be.
Yeah. It's actually really good. Thank you very much for that advice.
And I'm always growing. Like you said,
I know.
I have coaches myself.
Yeah.
I study this. I practice this. I coach others in this. But I have my own masterminds. Just last week, I was in one mastermind with 5 women who are certified in the exact same Dream Builder and Life Mastery Consulting certification through the Brave Thinking Institute. And we were doing a mastermind, and it was my turn to share, like, what am I struggling with? What question do I have? And how can we source some solutions? And she noticed a word that I had used. Well, someday when this happens. I'm sure that I use someday when this happens. She goes, Jennifer, I noticed this. When is that someday? So I said, in 9 months, this will happen with this many people and so forth. So having her as a coach helped me grow and take decisions and take action.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting because now I'm putting dates on everything that I do.
Yes.
And it's actually, I'm trying to commit to certain things. And it takes, I believe that it takes time a little bit. And then it makes you always have in the mind like, oh my God, and what happens if it doesn't work?
Yes.
And then it's just like, okay, fine, but I'll put it on. I will try it out. We'll see what's going on. But then a couple of years ago, I call it, I hit a volcano because it wasn't a bump.
It wasn't a bump. It
wasn't a bump. It was a volcano. I hit the volcano. I couldn't go through. And then I finally got through and then I just went through the other side. You know, in Guatemala, we have the pacaya. And then after you jump on the other side, you have the set, like you slide over there and then you run over there on the lava. So on the dry lava, sorry. And then, so it happened that to me. And then, since that, I was like, I don't care. I'll make it happen. Mm-hmm. Because I came from a bad experience to jump to a different experience. Mm-hmm. And then he helped me out, keep getting information, like with activity like we did with you. And then, with more coaches that I follow up and that I work basically with all the year. I have a coach that I have to put you and her together. Both of them, both of their names are Jennifer. And then it's super cool because she's been coaching me for like 8 years already, and then like 7 years. And then it's like she has the manual of like, Jorge, it's not like this, it's like that. Go back to that routine or stay here. But if you don't want it, change it. And then one of the things that I ask all the coaches is like, how important is for us, the humans, to be able to get in structure and meditate every day.
So
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, I like the last time one of my listeners says meditate is always like, okay, how we can connect with nature or meditate or pray or it's in a complete, it's like so many people see it in a different way, but this is just like, get together with God or figure out the superpower, or if you can explain us that.
I love that. And I love how you pause there because words matter, right? So even when we say God, universe, creator, spirit, higher power, you choose which word resonates with you and don't worry about the rest. Right. And with meditate, for many people, it's like, well, I can't quiet my mind and I don't have time to lay there for 10 minutes. You don't have to. You can literally meditate as we're having a conversation, right? You can meditate, and meditation to me is more intention. So what do I intend to do, give, create, share, right? And so there is what I call finding the evidence. When you meditate, you want to find the evidence of what is possible and when you have already done something that is similar to what it is that you feel that you can't do. What I mean by that is when I have a client and they're like, well, I just don't know, I want to quit my job, or I have my business, but I'm having difficulty finding good people because of this and all this, bad experiences. My job as a coach is to ask you questions. My job is not to give you the solutions. You can hire a consultant to give you a lot of solutions and strategies and structures. As a coach, I'm here to ask you the question because I believe that the answer is inside of you. You just haven't been able to bring it out. So one of the powerful questions that I love to ask is like, well, when was there a time when you did something similar and it did work out for you? And it's amazing to see somebody be like, first, they're like, and then like, oh, well, this thing. And when they tell the story, then they see the evidence. When they see the evidence, their body feels different. And then they can make a decision and take an action. So if somebody wants to meditate, connect with nature and God, you can do it at any moment that you are aware that you would love to do this. So one simple way of doing it is actually starting with the breath. The breath is very important. Why? Because our breath helps our nervous system to be more neutral. Nothing is good or bad. Everything is neutral. So if you take a breath and you just breathe in through the nose and you blow out through the mouth as if you're blowing through a straw. So a lot of my workshops, I like to bring straws so people can actually practice. If you just do that 3 times, maybe that's a starting point for you. Over time, your body is going to desire that more than the stress. Over time, and you used this word earlier, it's time and repetition, right? It becomes a habit. It becomes a desire. Your body wants it more than the stress because that feels good and the stress doesn't feel good anymore. So just starting with the breath and then from there, asking a question, what would I love?
And you will get the answer. Most of the time, most of the things. Well, I practice meditation. Sometimes you're busy that you forget that you have to recap and then just reorganize yourself and your thoughts. I do it mostly at night and then very early. But sometimes I get super like the day gets super hectic that sometimes disappear and then you sit in the car or either go somewhere and just like think about it and then just like meditate. Right. I'm not the person that can meditate around people, or like you say, like meditating right now. I tried before. I get super like distracted. Yes. It's just practice, like you say, but it's fun. But I believe, or you just tell me. I believe that you asked to the. I will give you my point of view because I don't know what's happening with everybody. I heard some points of view the way that I see it on after you meditate. When I meditate, and then when I focus like constantly, like 2 or 3 days, two or three times a day, people give me the answers, or I look at numbers, or either someone tells me this is the answer of what you ask. But nobody puts attention to that. Yes. And it took me like 6 years to understand that I want this, I want this, I want this, and how I do it, and how I do it. And then like, please help me out. But then you cannot be praying and asking And then you just have to let it, like, you have to, like, okay, calm the brain when you're
Yes.
meditating, and then just like kind of like figure out when you're in that stage of it, like, okay, where I want to see the things or how I want to see the things. And then for me, it's been like I meditate and I see it. Now I understand, like, okay, deal. I got my answers come back in different people, different actions, different signals, different words. So I was like, oh, sorry about that. So I like how we can explain that, how we can tell people that it's just like not only the meditation will help you, but also whatever you ask, you will have an answer,
Right.
or either yes or no, or like to guide you on the, like, that's not for you. Let it go. Don't keep working on that. It happens too much in relationships, in business, in friendship. Can you work a little bit on that for us, please?
A little bit. Let's see if I can summarize it, because that's a whole other podcast.
I know.
That's a whole other episode.
We're going to beg her to bring her back.
I may never leave. I'm loving where you're taking this, because, so a couple of things. One, with meditation, the word that came back to me, and I feel that maybe this might be helpful for some of the listeners if meditation is something that they've tried before and it doesn't work, or they can't quiet the mind and they just don't see the benefit, or they haven't seen it for themselves yet, is to think maybe a smaller step, which is gratitude. When you're grateful for someone who has done something nice to you or for you, when you're grateful, even in a difficult circumstance, and when you're grateful for what is next and for what you would really love. So if you notice, there are 3 different ways of being grateful, right? Gratitude is the same frequency of love. Love and gratitude is where abundance is attracted to. So when I'm grateful, not only from things that have happened in the past, I'm grateful for this very moment right here. You and I having this conversation right here. I can generate gratitude even before we sat down to start our conversation. And I did, right? And then I'm grateful for what is next for me 3 years from now. If I can just do that every morning, every day, you will start noticing out of the blue. I think you said earlier, like, well, then all of a sudden, there is no all of a sudden. It's because you've been putting your attention on that. So it is bound to come to you. Maybe not the way you think it's going to, or with the people that you think it's going to, but it will show up. Now, you have to be, where meditation helps, is you have to be awake enough and aware enough to notice it when it's there. If not, it can go by and we don't notice and we don't say yes to that opportunity or to that person. Or, many times, I don't know if it happens to you, but it happens to me where I'll be thinking about someone. I should send them a text message. I should call them, or I wonder how they're doing. In less than 24 hours, they show up in your life somehow. Was it me that attracted them, or did they attract me? I don't know, but I think it's a co-creation. So that's the same with business. That is the same with our relationships. That is the same with health. So for any entrepreneur that is listening to us, all of that we're talking about, you can apply it to your business. And especially if you have staff and if you have a team, you want to surround yourself and be an example for them that this is a way of being. Meditation, gratitude, vision, connecting with your goals, having the metrics. You mentioned the metrics earlier. Metrics are important because you do want to measure the numbers, right? And you do want to measure the steps, but you also want to measure, have I actually been taking the steps and the actions to reach those metrics, right? And that's where you come in, Jorge, to really be able to ask those hard questions to the entrepreneur and say, okay, this is what we designed. Have you been doing that? And how do you know? Right. And so again, I actually even forgot the question already, but in terms of,
how we, after you meditate and then how you get your answers, and the ways of how we can, the interpretation of like the signs, basically, after you request the universe or something to change or to be or not to be. To be or not to be. To do or not to do. So the questions, so there's two parts answer to that question. One is, in the moment, I do believe in this, there is a way to kinesthetically, that means with the body movement, to test. Is this a yes or a no? It could be as simple as if I want to improve my health and the doctor or the nutritionist has told me that I need to eat less sugar or less carbohydrates or whatever. In the moment, I could hold a bowl of ice cream and say, would I love this?
And I can trust if my body moves forward or backwards, right? And over time, very likely it's a no. Now, do I want it? Yes. But would I love this? Is this something that I need, that my body needs? You want to be able to trust that. It also happens with people. Oftentimes when you're in a relationship and then, there's a divorce or a breakup or a bad relationship with a sibling or a parent, the signs have been there. We just have not wanted to see them. So the more we are in tune with our body and how something feels, even like when driving, should I turn left or right? If you have the intention of thinking about it and asking the question and trusting how your body moves and feels, and then just track when you listened to that intuition and when you didn't listen to it. As simple as like, I should take the umbrella. No, but it looks sunny. Well, something tells me I should take an umbrella. No, but it looks sunny. And you don't take the umbrella and then it rains. It's the same with business. Should I say yes or no to this opportunity? So it's trusting yourself and then being okay with the results. Being okay. And what I mean by that is that it's not about getting to the goal. It's about who you become in the process. You can't get to your dream. You come from it. And that is something that my mentor, Mary, always tells us. And it was hard for me to understand, like, what does she mean come from the dream? I was like, I want to get there. When you get there, it doesn't feel that very different because then it's what's next.
Yeah, I see it. And I actually explain that to business people. It's like, you always, I want to make this amount of money. I want to make these things. I want to open 5 places. I want to like, but what is it? What is the GPS says to the way back? Because it's not only just making it over there. It's like, well, first the process, but second is like, you got to come back and then be able to figure out, okay, what's next? Because a lot of people say, yeah, I made it. That's it. Done. I'm okay. And then, no, but what's next?
Yes.
They don't get, that's actually amazing.
There's always a what next. And when we begin to think about it, like oftentimes somebody may have been hearing us and say, well, I don't know what I would love. Or some people may be like, oh, well, this only happens for some people. Or I have so many dreams, I don't know which is the first one. Or I don't even know what I would love to have. And so at any point, wherever you are, there is a step you can take in that direction. There's a story of a fisherman that is sitting along the river, and there's this older gentleman down the bank. So there's a young fisherman and an older fisherman. The young fisherman watches the older man just fishing, bringing in a lot of fish. But he would take the fish and he would measure it with a broken ruler. If the fish was larger than the ruler, he would throw it back into the river. He would only keep the small fish. So the young boy is like wondering. So he finally walks over. He's like, okay, I can't take it anymore. I want to know. I see you bringing in these fish, but you throw it back in if it's a large fish. Is there something about the law that we can't fish that are larger than that? Or do they get bony? Like, what's going on here? The older man tells the young man, he's like, well, listen, look, boy, the size of this ruler is the size of my frying pan at home. So my fish has to fit in that frying pan in order for me to cook it. So the bigger ones, I just throw it back in. It's the same with our dreams. We limit our dreams to the size of our frying pan. That size of our frying pan is our circumstances, our history. And I believe that our history does not determine our destiny. So you can create a larger frying pan, create a bigger life. Life wants to grow through you. We are designed what I would say, we're spiritual beings in a human experience. We're designed to want more, to grow to what's next. It is okay to want wealth and riches and fashion. And I mean, you could say what I would love is to have fancy shoes or this beautiful car. That's okay.
Yeah, it's a dream.
It's a dream. It's okay. That is okay to be able to want those things. Because why? If you're a restaurant owner, an entrepreneur, in order for you to have enough money for that, then you're generating enough jobs. You're generating enough customers that are coming in for the experience. That dream is good for everyone because that's when it's going to motivate you and drive you to do the things that also generates wealth for others. But you have to be able to see that whole picture that way.
Okay. Got it. I have like 7 dreams. I'm working on 7 dreams right now because I don't believe that you can work only one.
I love it. Yes.
Yeah, it's super interesting. I write, and now I'm like writing and putting everything, and then just say, okay, I have to do this and I have to make it happen. And then I believe that sometimes if you want to achieve a lot of things, you have to be I don't think that it's bad. Like in Latin America, we say, oh yeah, el que abarca mucho, poco agarra. But I don't think that when they say that to me, I say, yeah, but because you use only your arms. I use different machines to be able to hold everything together. And so they look at me like, okay. So it's ways of holding that if you are like, like try to, you have to develop a team and the team has to work with you to be able to through those dreams and goals. But, it's fun.
Yeah.
But,
and I'll just add one thing because I think it resonates. And when you said that you use more than your arms, you didn't use the word, but I believe that you're using your heart. Your heart has more neurons than your brain does. Your heart actually communicates to your brain. So if you study the brain in neuroscience, like it's coming from the heart first, but your brain is what's designed for you to be able to then see that or hear that or feel that. But it's coming from your heart. And your heart and your brain are communicating constantly.
When we say heart, I know there is an abstract word, or it's like your faith, your willingness, yeah, that's true. I do. Yeah, you think, you hold it in that's probably an expression for people because they don't understand sometimes, but that's actually a really good way of interpreting that. I like it. Okay, so a couple of more questions. This is about food, drinks, and company. The podcast is about Comida, Tragos, and Co. How was your experience cooking? Of becoming a chef?
It's interesting. So my journey and my experience started actually about 23 years ago, and probably even before that. I'm sure this started when I was a little girl in the kitchen and with my grandmother and, the women in our house helping us. Where as an adult, it started about 23 years ago when I just happened to be actually at Havana Village back in the day.
Oh, wow. I like that place.
Oh, place is awesome.
I know.
I was sitting at the bar with a friend, and behind the bar, the manager actually was a student of the culinary arts program at Carlos Rosario. So many of our listeners probably are familiar with Carlos Rosario Public Charter School. And he said, oh, she's doing a culinary program. You would be great at a chef. You love to entertain and you like to invite people over to your place and so forth. So I'm like, sure, let's do that. And I went to visit Carlos Rosario and I fell in love with the people, with the program. And I said yes to that. So I started and I got my certification through their culinary arts program. At that time, I believed that if I went into catering, it'd be easy because the menu is already set for you. All you have to do is execute. I was wrong. I was so wrong.
I know. I know.
I was so wrong.
Why we didn't start with a little food truck?
It was so wrong about believing how easy it would be. What I did find that, and why I was called to become a chef, is because there is a passion of seeing the people's expression when they eat your food. So I believe that it's more in the experience. So at that moment, I had the wonderful opportunity to work for a Rituals Catering Company. And my role was to help communicate all the departments, from the designers to the chefs to the cooks to the delivery to all of that. And what's fascinating to me because I got to see all those moving parts and they all matter in order for that food to get to that wedding, to that client, to that customer. So I learned that my role was more about how can I make all of these systems come together in a way that's like a waltz, like dancing. And it's all that mattered was the plate for that customer. And then it just opened up doors to actually becoming, I knew that it was hard for me to just be standing in the kitchen cooking. Like I loved it. But once it became a job for me, I was like, there's more to this. And that's when I discovered more passion for restaurants. And actually, one of the reasons I'm here in DC this weekend is that the Rammys are happening right now. And so the Rammys are the awards to recognize, the restaurateurs and the managers and just the restaurant and cocktails mixologists here in the DC area. So I worked for the Restaurant Association Metropolitan Washington. But I remember Chef Benjamin Velasquez from Carlos Rosario, and he told me once, because there's an exam you probably know about, the food safety exam you have to take.
The safe serve.
Safe serve. I had gotten like an 80% the first time. I had passed, so I was satisfied. He's like, no, you need 90%. I'm like, why? Because then you can become an instructor and you can teach this to others. So I've been able to teach that in English and Spanish. And so I always remember where, like, even though I had passed and I was satisfied, I use that as a measurement now. I can't just be passing and satisfied in life. I want to get to that higher next level. So for me, my experience as a chef is that I went in thinking I was going to be one thing, but I've seen the evolution, and it's okay to evolve and just allow this to grow. And I love food. I love what food represents for people, right? You said company. It brings people together. People celebrate around food. And so now my life as a chef is more helping entrepreneurs or people who want to start their business or scale the business and really say, okay, how can that business fit the lifestyle that you want to have? And how can we work with those two together? And just finding that spiritual side to it. So that's the summarized version of my life as a chef.
Yeah, it's interesting. The food life, the chef life, and all that is actually fun.
I've told my daughter's going to be 7 this year, and my husband and I have already told her that one of her jobs is going to be in food service. Because we believe that in food service, you get to really understand what it takes to really think about the person that you're serving, and that it's about that experience. And there's so many other reasons. I just think it's kind of fun, and she probably would meet a lot of fun people. It is about that. It's not about you, but it's really about the experience for that person. And so I want her to have that skill set. Plus, it's definitely something that if she's good at, she could create whatever she would love. But we've always encouraged her to be able to think about that as a possible career or just as an experience.
Yeah, I had that surprise like 6 months ago when Camila told me that she wants to go to CIA. And then she wants to cook. And I was like, no, mija. I was like, no, I want to be a chef. No. And I was like, why? She developed the knowledge of food since she's a little kid. And then my wife and I have been in the restaurant business for a long time, and then you cannot say no to somebody. It's like she sees what we do, she sees what we cook at home.
Yes.
The flavors. It's like, nah. She's sometimes like, nah, you do the steak better. Or nah, you do the sauce better. Nah, you do the pasta better. Nah, this is not good. Like, so now she cooks. So she'd rather to cook at home than order food or either go to a restaurant.
Yes.
So she develops recipes, but she writes it down. So she probably, like I ate in so many different countries, so many different chefs and everything, but I believe that she does the best Brussels sprouts.
Ooh.
It's so complicated to have, but they taste exactly the same all the time.
That's amazing.
They're like, I do this, yeah, but it's different seasons. Like the Brussels sprouts come from different places. We never get the Brussels sprouts from exactly the same place. That place get the Brussels sprouts from the same farm. And then I believe that one of the things that is just like she has a hand. But she's been around with us in the restaurant business. She used to go with me when I was a manager, polish silverware, help out in the front.
Yes.
And then it's actually something that I believe that is good. And then one of the things that I say is that the way that I see the restaurant business is that, as you mentioned it before, we're serving a body, a human being, that after 4 hours eating the stuff that you're providing to them or the liquids that you're providing to them, it will become part of their ecosystem.
Yes.
So I always believe that we have to be grateful and be able to serve, they receive something, prepare it, and give it to somebody else, that it will assimilate it, and then it will enjoy something for the future. And then a lot of people is, nah, it's only food. And I was like, not really. Like, if you're passionate in the restaurant business, you have to understand why you do it. And then a lot of people ask me, it's like, why are you in the restaurant business? And I was like, well, because I believe that we have to grab everything that the superpower gives us and then be able to feed somebody in a really good way with really good flavors, but it will make them healthy. That's my thing. And it's like, can you elaborate on that? Well, if I give you a banana, or if I give you an apple, or if I give you an avocado, or if I give you a piece of meat, 4 hours after, that will be part of your ecosystem and your body.
Mhm.
And then that will give you energy. Or that will, if I give you something that is not well prepared, that will make you sick.
Yes.
So you notice the difference. And it's like, oh, got it.
Mhm.
So that's one of the reasons that we started this podcast, was to elaborate ways to the people that listen to this, be able to figure out that at least something,
Mhm.
at least 2 or 3 questions they will memorize and will be able to say, okay, cool. This is nice. Okay, we can make it happen like this,
Mhm.
and change their ways and habits and values and responsibilities with other people in the restaurant business.
Yes, I love that. Thank
So,
you for sharing that.
Coach, thank you
Okay.
very much.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. If you can help us out, where we find you, where we can get you, email or website or social media. We will include yours, but anyway, people listen to this. That would be nice.
Absolutely. Thank you. So my website is www.redefininginheritance.com. There you will also see the links for my social media. You keep referring me as a coach, and I love that, because my social media for Instagram and for the YouTube channel is at Coach J Leh, and that's Coach, the letter J, Leh. There's a story that you will discover there as to why Coach J Leh.
Cool. The next podcast.
Yes.
A little advice, a little recommendation for these times and what is happening in the world for the people that is listening to us.
I would say that when you think about the world, if it feels big, then in that moment, you're making yourself small. So maybe bring in the world into yourself, into your family, into your community. So start and really identify what is it inside of you that you would love more of, and know that every step that you take in that direction has a positive effect, not only on you, but those around you. So there's only, one thing that I've learned is that there's my business, your business, and then God's business. So I can only take care of my business. And what I mean by that is what's inside my thoughts and inside my heart and inside my actions. So just notice what you're noticing, set an intention of what you would love, and take a step in that direction and see what happens, and have fun.
Okay. Thank you very much, Jen. We'll be here. Thank you for everybody to listen. This is Jorge Cordero with Comida Tragos & Co. Thank you very much.
Thank you.